Now, I'm really excited to introduce you to our speaker. Patrick Callihan is the Executive Director for Tech Impact, which is a national nonprofit organization whose mission is to empower communities and nonprofits to use technology to better serve our world. Tech Impact is focused on developing an inclusive tech talent pipeline in the markets they serve. And they've recently launched IT apprenticeships to support alternative pathways to careers in technology. Tech Impact is headquartered in Philadelphia and maintains offices in Philly, Wilmington, Delaware, Washington, D.C., and Las Vegas, Nevada. So welcome, Patrick. He's going to be in conversation with our own Lydia Hernandez. Lydia is an enterprise development representative with us, and before joining Power to Fly, she moved from her home state of California to Buenos Aires, Argentina, to explore and learn from a different culture. Outside of her work, she's a devoted member of a Los Angeles women's group, a co-ed soccer team in Buenos Aires, and Democrats Abroad Argentina. She looks forward to connecting with you all on LinkedIn, so we'll share her information in the chat. But Lydia, I'm going to turn the stage over to you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Meg, for that amazing intro. I love seeing your face also. Hello, Patrick. How are you today?
I'm great, Lydia. I loved hearing your bio. I hadn't heard that before. You are a very involved person, so that's wonderful to be with you today.
Oh, thank you. So we'd love to get started with a little bit more info on you, on where you're based, and some insights into your career journey at Tech Impact.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to share some of that. First, let me just start by introducing a little bit about our organization. So Tech Impact's a nonprofit. We're headquartered in Philadelphia. And as Meg said, we have offices in Wilmington, Delaware, where I happen to be sitting today. We also have offices in Washington, D.C. and out in Las Vegas, Nevada. So we're spread out quite a bit. And we really focus our work in two distinct areas, right? So the first one being capacity building. So we provide technology education services and support to other nonprofit organizations all across the country, literally working with hundreds of organizations at any given time. And that can be anything from simply providing some educational resources like online training through our Technology Learning Center, or it could be some services around IT security or data analytics, or it could be something like a complete outsourcing where we are actually the IT department for well over 300 nonprofits across the United States, providing them support each and every single day. So a lot of different forms there. And then the second sort of stream of work that we have is around workforce development. So as it relates to workforce development, we tend to work generally, or I say primarily with opportunity youth. So 18 to 26-year-olds who are out of school, out of work, or working maybe like in part-time or minimum wage type jobs. And we provide technology training programs to these folks and then help them connect to employment through that program. And we run that in 3 different places: Philadelphia, here in Wilmington, and out in Las Vegas, Henderson, Southern Nevada. And then we do some other things. You heard mention that we're starting IT apprenticeships. We really believe that in that. That's a way of connecting, even more folks to opportunities in technology without having to take a traditional path of, going through 4 years of college or something like that, right? So it's a much more inclusive opportunity. And here in Delaware, I've been doing a ton of work around helping to build an inclusive tech talent pipeline, right? So we really want, and let me just say, right up front, like tech, I've worked in tech a long time. It's primarily dominated by white guys, okay? And we're really trying to change that. We want to bring more people of color. We want to bring more women. We want to be inclusive in the folks that we're bringing into this career, because it's an interesting career in that, pedigree doesn't matter once you start working in the field. Once you get in the field, it's all about what can you do for me as a company, right? And so there's just enormous opportunity for really sustainable wages, high wages, which can help close some of the wealth gap that we experience in this country. So just tremendous opportunities. And sorry, I'm getting a little off track here, Lydia. So you have to pay attention to me. But I have been at Tech Impact for about 12 years and a little bit more than that, almost 13. And really my background is both community and technology, which really makes this like the perfect job for me, because it allows me to combine my love of helping other people and helping our communities with the love of technology. So maybe I'll just stop there and just see how many of your questions I've already answered.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I was listening intently because I love everything that you're saying. And I also believe in it. I think we really need to focus on that. And I know personally people in my family who, with the right training can really be a part of this, of, like tech and where we're going. So it makes me happy to hear about what you're doing. So what about, I also want to hear about you, like, where did this passion come from, and a little bit about your personal background and how you got started with Tech Impact.
Yeah, great. So I've really only had about 3 jobs. So I started my career at a little startup company called Discover Card. I don't know if you've heard of that or not. A lot of people have it in their wallet, but it's a big credit card company. But I really, at the time I joined, it really was a startup, and I was one of the first employees. And I spent a decade or more there, and that really gave me a lot of background. It gave me, my first job was in customer service, and then I learned about collections, I learned about new loan products, and I learned eventually about software testing, and that's really where my love of computers came in. But I will say every one of those jobs along the way have given me experience that I still draw from today. And I think that's a key point, which is, I tell folks all the time, get as much experience as you can, because you never know when you're going to use that experience later on. And in this job that I have now, I do a little bit of all that: customer service, collections, believe it or not, starting new products, and of course, a great amount to deal with technology. From there, I went to an IT consulting firm, which was great, but and fulfilling in different ways. But that's really where I learned to connect to the community, because one of the things I helped to start was community outreach program there. And, like, I'm a longtime board member with the Boys and Girls Clubs. And I've worked with a lot of other different organizations as a volunteer, and still do today. Like, I provide, I work with arts organizations and all kinds of stuff. I really just love community, and I say all the time, like, every one of our lives at some point has been touched by a nonprofit organization. Whether it's you're adopting a puppy, or you have an elderly person you're caring for that needs some help, or just someone who's trying to immigrate into the country. Like, nonprofits are really serving a very wide array of our population here in the United States. And I would bet almost all of us have had some dealings with those organizations. So for me, I'm very passionate about working with those organizations, and in a field that I'm passionate about, which is technology. And it's not technology for technology's sake. It's like technology to make these organizations stronger, better, cheaper, faster, whatever it is, so that they can reach more of their constituents, do more of their mission work, and make our communities stronger and healthier. And that's what this organization is really all about. And then once we were part of another organization much broader called NPower at one time, and there were a lot of NPowers that were started by Microsoft, and over the years they morphed and changed. But one of the things we learned from NPower, that was NPower New York at the time, was about workforce development, and I absolutely love workforce development, and here's why. So, you heard me sort of describe these services to nonprofits, right? And in that role, we're sort of an intermediary, right? We're an organization that's helping an organization that's helping someone else. And that's great. But rarely do you see the people that you're really helping at the end, right? And so one of the things I love about workforce development is we get to meet these young people. We get to meet these kids, and I say kids because I'm old, but these young people, and it makes such a difference to us when we see the progress of an individual through the services that we're providing. I think it also gives us a certain level of empathy that we can then apply to our clients, our nonprofit clients, because we now understand what they have to go through to raise money, to keep track of donors, to do accounting, like all these things that nonprofits do, which are not the fun part of what they do, but technology helps enable a lot of that. And because of the programs that we have now with directly with people, we empathize with them, I think, in a different way than what we once did. And we've been doing this for decades, so I don't want to suggest it's new, the workforce development component of that. But I think it is extremely powerful. So, like I said, I've been here for almost 13 years, and I really feel like it was a perfect marriage of sort of my love of helping the community as well as my love of leveraging technology for social good.
Yeah, and I mean, you're bringing a lot, you're bringing from the corporate level, from MasterCard to the community work that you've done, and being able to bring that all together and make it really work. So I think it's amazing. And I completely agree with you, like being involved with the community and just seeing actual people go through your program and seeing where they end up really just feeds back into the passion, into your values, into the company. So I love that. And you did mention to me when we spoke before that you've hired some of your trainees. Can you talk a little bit about the trainees and where some of them are now?
Yeah. Thanks, Lydia. That's I'm glad you remembered that. That is a really important component to our program that I often overlook, and I think it really takes our impact to another level, right? So we have about 100 folks that work inside our organization, and about 20% of that are actually graduates from our own program. So, I love that, because we're basically helping to set the example too, right? We're not just saying here, train and hire folks. Like we're hiring these folks because I'll tell you what, they're really smart, like hardworking, mission-oriented people, right? And that's exactly what I look for in our organization. I want, people who are really connected to the mission. The rest of it, we can train for. So these folks that have joined our organization, and there's a lot of them over the years. I mean, many of them have gone up into higher positions within our organization. So, our minimum wage is like $18 an hour. So already when you're coming in, you're earning a sustainable wage. We have excellent benefits. So already we're showing, some improvement, helping them to improve their lives. And then we take it further than that because, we have IRA matching and other benefits that help create wealth for folks. And then opportunities to move up in the organization. In fact, we just finished a strategic plan, and one of the things we really want to focus on are creating career pathways in our organization for the folks that we bring in. So while a number of folks have gone on to much higher positions in our company, we want to be much more intentional about it, right? And we want to provide those training opportunities. We want to support those training opportunities. We want to help those individuals, that we're bringing into our organization get better and better jobs and higher paying wages. I mean, I can tell you, we have folks in our business who have, entered in as a help desk analyst, maybe making $35,000, $36,000 a year, and are now like, what we would call a highly technical networking, engineer that's probably pulling, somewhere in the 60 to 80 range, so there's, and that's quite a good opportunity for folks. And some have gone even higher than that. I can tell you, our managing director of technology services, which is a direct report of mine, and I only have 5 direct reports, came through not our program, but a program very similar to this, and has gone on to be, one of the chief, people in our business, and manages, probably 40, 50 people in our organization. So tremendous opportunity. I won't give away salaries because for individuals, but doing well, let's just say. and that's what it's about. I always tell my team that we've grown tremendously over the time I've been here. In 12 years, we've grown from about $1 million to we're probably doing about $12 to $13 million in revenue. But I'd say there's really only two reasons to grow this organization. And the first is that we're helping more organizations embrace technology and use technology for social good, or we're helping to train more individuals in technology careers so that they're helping themselves with getting better wages and things. The second reason is to provide opportunity to our associates in the organization. So we're either helping individuals or nonprofits, or we're helping our own associates. As we grow, we want them to grow with our organization. And many people within our organization have, I mentioned those 5 direct reports. Almost all of them have 10 plus years within our organization. So they stay for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And you stayed, for a long time. So I think it just talks really about the company and what you're doing. And I completely agree. I mean, salary and benefits are one thing, but a lot of people now are looking for opportunities to grow within the company, or at least to grow their skill set to be able to take that somewhere else. But yes, I love that. And I could definitely see why people are sticking with Tech Impact for longer. And again, like also the work they're doing is amazing. The work you're doing is amazing. So I think many of us are looking for purposeful work like that as well. And you talked a little bit about youth, how you are helping youth pursue careers in tech. What about veterans? I know you're also helping veterans with that. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as part of the work we're doing around apprenticeship, and let me explain apprenticeship just briefly. So, the apprentices have been around in this country for a long time, right? So, but typically in the trades, you would want to join it as an apprentice to be a carpenter or electrician or something like that, where you're going to get mentored, right? You're going to get training, you're going to get mentored, you're going to continually learn new skills until you become skilled yourself, and then you become a journeyman, is what it's referred to. Well, now we're taking these same concepts and we're applying them to modern jobs like technology. So we partnered with an organization out of Washington State called Apprenti. And Apprenti is another nonprofit organization that's really helping to lead this movement of IT apprenticeships. And so we became a franchise of Apprenti here in Wilmington area, Delaware, and also in the Philadelphia region. And we may extend that even further at some point. So what are we doing? Well, we're registering with the government, federal government, state government, apprentices, apprenticeable positions. And that might be software developer or cybersecurity analyst or IT support professional. And what it is we create what's called, a training program, really an individualized training program that says, if you want to be a journey person in software development or cybersecurity or something else, here's what you're going to need to go through. We're going to have to get you trained and certified in the following, 2-3 things. And then we're going to need to get you some mentoring and get on the job training for 1,000+ hours. And over that next year or two, you're going to learn a lot, you're going to get certifications, and then we're going to graduate you, if you do well, into a journey person. And that's really where the career starts. So a lot of veterans are applying to this, and a lot of underrepresented communities are applying to this because we're not looking for experience. What we're looking for is ability, right? And tenacity. And so there's a test that folks take at the front end of that gives us a lot of information about the type of person they are and their capacity to learn, not their experience level. And that's very unique. And what happens is we can move folks through these trainings and through this experience and put them into these really high paying careers. I mean, software developers in year one are probably making between $60,000 and $80,000 easily. So for someone with no experience in technology to go into a technology career making, those kind of wages, that can be really life changing, and not only for the individual, but for their families, right? And so really there's an opportunity to break some cycles of poverty here, because we're not asking for a 4-year college degree, and quite the opposite. We're just looking for that innate ability. And so I think you'll hear more and more about this. We have a project in Delaware that we're running right now that over the next 4 years, we're going to be training over 700 people for careers in technology and in those fields I just mentioned. And we're working with an HBCU here in Delaware called Delaware State University. So historically Black college and university. And the whole purpose of that is for us to get more women and more Blacks and more Latinx folks into the pipeline here in Delaware, so that we have a more diverse technology workforce here. And I probably don't need to say why that's important, right? Diversity of thought, I'm sure you folks with this organization, you get it. But we're also trying to convey that to our employer partners, right? Like, this is really important, and here are the reasons why. So that the apprenticeship is a great vehicle for that. I hope that answered your question, Lydia. Sometimes I go off on a little bit of a tangent.
I love it. I love your tangents. I love everything you're sharing. And it's great to hear that there are these programs out there, and that even you're working with the government to create these programs. It's reassuring. So since you also touched on that, like with nonprofits and stakeholders, how are you working directly with them to bring some of these benefits to more people at grassroots levels?
Yeah, that's a great question. So within our own program, and I'll touch on it for just a moment, it's called IT Works, and that's the one that's run in 3 different cities. Within that program, we are training folks for jobs, entry-level IT jobs, like on the help desk. And many of those folks will actually end up going to work at a nonprofit organization. As part of our program, the first 11 weeks is classroom training. So we have our own instructors, they go through classroom. But if also 20% of that is soft skills training. So we bring in a lot of volunteers to teach things like how to develop, writing your resume, writing your cover letter, learning skills on how to interview for a job, learning, what are the right ways to dress for employment, what are the right thing, how to talk to your manager. Like, a lot of soft skills that we hear from employers are incredibly important. In fact, sometimes more important. They value those even more than the actual technical skills, because they say that a lot of the folks that they bring into the entry-level positions are just lacking that. So really, really important. The other thing we do is then we guarantee each of our the folks that go through our training program, an opportunity to have an internship. And often that's with a nonprofit organization. And we can often get that subsidized through another organization, so that both the person that's in the training position can get paid during that, and it provides some services to the nonprofit organizations while they're there getting that experience. And really, so it's a win-win there. And a lot of our folks that graduate go on to work at nonprofit organizations. And of course, the 20% of our organization that went through that program is directly serving the nonprofit organizations that we work with each and every single day. So there's definitely a circular effect here that's very, very powerful.
Yeah. And I also love the idea of paid internships, right? Because there are people who just can't take a non-paid internship. So I like that you also support people in that way. All right, we have about 6 minutes. Time flew by just learning a lot about tech impact. I learned a lot myself this time around. If anybody has any questions before we, finish this conversation, please type them in the chat now. And Patrick, also, I want to hear, what are the goals for tech impact in the next couple of years? Like, where do you see it growing and or expanding?
Yeah, that's a great way to end. So I think, right now we're looking at other markets where we could potentially move our IT Works program into, certainly expanding in that way. I think for the markets that we're serving with workforce development, we're looking, how do we go deeper there? Much like we did in Delaware, right? We applied for a large government grant. We're going to be training 700 people over the next 4 years. How can we do that in other markets as well? So really going deep, because that's about helping people. I think, when we look at IT services, certainly, I think the best thing we can do is just stay in touch with the market and respond to the market. There's just an incredible amount of threats going on right now within nonprofit organizations as it relates to IT cybersecurity. Nonprofits are targets, and there are some very basic things we can do to help fortify those organizations. So we work really hard on that, and I think you'll see us continue to try to bring, more and more tool sets to market that help nonprofits identify, some of those vulnerabilities and some of those weaknesses that can be then fortified fairly easily and often inexpensively. So, we'll continue to invest in our technology learning center, because that's where we really reach a lot of folks. Last year we had over 20,000 people connect with us through our learning programs. So that's a great way to get, more impact with the work that we're doing. So I know we're coming on time, Lydia, and I don't want to take us over. So I'll just turn it back to you. You have a great way of interviewing, so I appreciate the opportunity to spend time with you.
I'm also listening because it's amazing again. But yeah, I mean, and I know you mentioned, and I've seen also on the website, some trainings that are coming up. And I also see Frederick here just asked a question that's pretty relevant. He asked, how can I get more information about this program?
Yeah, I think the easiest way I can suggest is go to our website, and that's techimpact.org. So techimpact.org. And we have a lot of information out there about all the programs, the Technology Learning Center, IT Works, and the services for nonprofits. Amazing.
And are there any things that you want to leave our community with? It also, like, what do you encourage people to apply who are outside of these states, or how does it work if someone wanted to hear more, but they weren't necessarily in these locations?
Yes, especially I would say for the apprenticeships, like, oftentimes folks will go on, find information, and then they can be willing to relocate. My door is always open. I'll say that. My email is patrick@techimpact.org. So it's just like the website with Patrick on the front of it. And I'm always willing to help anyone who has questions about, their career, or help nonprofits who have questions about technology. That's why we exist. We're here to help people and nonprofits. So like I said, my door is always open. I'm terrible to get a meeting with. You probably know that, Lydia, but I do respond on email usually within 24 hours. So I'm pretty easy to get that way. So I hope, let me just end by saying I'm really grateful for the time I, got to spend with you, with this wonderful organization here, and this great this great, conference that you've put on. So thank you for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure. And I look forward to connecting with your constituents, as they like.
Thank you, Patrick. And likewise, I mean, I think we are excited to promote and share programs like yours that are really helping people in tech, and really opportunities like this where you don't need the background that we've needed in the past to apply or to be a part of this and to grow within companies. So it's super valuable for our community, and we will definitely be sharing through our sources.
Awesome.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Patrick, and
thank you
everyone. Thank you everyone for joining. Our team will be sharing info on how to connect with Patrick and Tech Impact, and continue following their work and their training sessions that are coming up. Just keep them in your radar for future work with them.
Thank you both so much, Patrick and Lydia. That was a really great chat. I'm so happy I was able to witness it.